What would it feel like to be truly, deeply happy, regardless of your circumstances? Did you know that happiness is a choice and not a result? That you can create your life on purpose? Join us now to learn more. This is the Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. And here's your host, mindset coach, and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. Happy Friday. I am your host, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert. And today we are talking about radical personal responsibility. So this is a real thing. This is a real thing. And I'm going to give you a heads up right now that this is not going to be a light and fluffy show. This is a very important subject. And as we go through, we're really going to be straight. We're going to be honest. We're going to talk about the real stuff. I will tell you that as I have worked through my own healing journey in a number of different ways, this was the piece. This was the crux for me that kept on being my blockage, my stopping point, if that makes any sense. And that's why it's so very important for us to have a real, honest conversation. So we'll get into that in just a second. I've got to do a little bit of what do we do here stuff right now. So on Time to Rise and Thrive, what do? We talk about your subliminal soundtrack. We talk about how to get that working for you rather than against you. And we talk about seeing and recognizing your own beauty, your value, your contribution to this world. That's what we do. Every Friday, 1 p.m., we are here live on Inspired Choices Network. And over the weekend after our show, they do all kinds of production magic stuff and they put it up on all kinds of other platforms. So you can find us all over the place. But inspiredchoicesnetwork.com is where we live. And there is an app. I don't know. I don't understand that stuff. That's okay. It's okay. You can find us. You're smart. So Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern, join me here. And we are always talking about mindset issues. We're always talking about how to break through, how to break free, how to move in the direction that you would like to move in your life, how to create the life that you really desire and that you deserve. Yes. So today we are talking about radical personal responsibility. We show people how to treat us. Did you know that? Yes, by the end of this show, you are going to understand this so well. And maybe there'll be some stuff coming out of this because it's a very important subject. I've got a lot to say. I don't even know if we can get through all of it on this show today. So let's get cracking. We've been talking a lot about personal responsibility on Time to Rise and Thrive. It's very easy to fall into the dynamic of a victim mindset, especially when people are treating you poorly. The problem with staying in that mindset is that it doesn't break the dynamic. It doesn't address the problem. It doesn't get to the root of the problem. As long as we are feeling poorly, as long as we're sitting around going, oh, poor me. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know how to change these things. It's just, I always feel like something is going wrong in my life. And I want to tell you right away, this thing, I have absolutely no judgment. If you find yourself in that space, then here's your lifeline. Here's your lifeline, because I didn't understand. I didn't know that I was contributing to the drama and the chaos and the nonsense that was going on in my life for so many years. And it exhausted me. It made me feel badly about myself. It made me feel unworthy. There was all kinds of ugliness attached to this one thing. So when we're talking about radical personal responsibility, it is about getting to the root of that thing, understanding the dynamics that we are creating or we are getting caught up in that are allowing these things to happen in our lives. You are only a victim if you choose to be a victim. I'm going to repeat that. You are only a victim if you choose to be a victim. We can change all of this stuff. So the subliminal soundtrack is where most of this stuff comes from. Most of the stuff that we talk about on the show, it's this thing. It's a loop of messages that plays in the back of your mind all day, every day. It's made up of little bits of information that you've picked up throughout the course of your life. So every circumstance, every lesson you've learned, every relationship you've been part of, every single experience gives you little bits of information that we store back there on the subliminal soundtrack. And we use that information to create our belief systems about ourselves, about everything, about what does it mean to love or be loved? What does it mean to be having a healthy relationship? What does it mean? All of this stuff. What does it mean to have money or not have money? All of those belief systems live back there. Now, here's the good news. If you've got some belief systems that are hanging you up, we can change them, but we have to get down to the root of it. That's the thing. And that's what we're talking about today. When it comes to this victim mindset, what do we need to do? So, if you believe that you are a victim of your circumstances or of other people, you will live at the mercy of other people and never become who you were born to be. But if you believe that you are the person who is responsible for what you are allowing in your life, you will make choices and decisions that honor you and support you in becoming that ultimate version of you, the person that you were born to be. So let's get right into this. The first thing I want to share with you is if you go to jackiemott.com, so www.jackiemott.com, there is an article that I wrote a couple of years ago. It is called 5 Steps to Create a Mindset Wired for Success. Now, this gives you all of the steps that we go through when we are addressing that subliminal soundtrack and shifting those messages into ones that actually propel us toward the things that we want, toward the healthy relationships, toward the joy and the fulfillment and all of that kind of stuff. So go to jackiemott.com, grab that free article, have a read, and then reach out if you're struggling, especially with this, because one of the things that it's important for us to understand is some of the really deep things that come up or that we need to work on or that we need to heal. We actually need some help. We need some help from the people who have already been there, who have already walked that path, to support us and help us understand. It's not a thing that's easy to do by yourself. It's not like, and I was going to say IKEA furniture, and IKEA furniture, maybe it is like IKEA furniture, because when you buy that stuff and you find that the directions are all in Swedish, how do you put it together? I don't know. So maybe it's like that, where you've got the steps, but you need a little bit more information to help you understand and work through that. Or maybe you need some support. Maybe you need a place to go where somebody is going to say, well, that's not terribly helpful now, is it? Yeah. Okay. So this is not an easy thing for us to discuss. So I'm going to really encourage you to grab a pen and paper and to make some notes if you're able to. If not, go back to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com and find the recording when you can. We're going to get into sort of how this is impacted. And I'm going to be really honest with you today. I'm going to share with you some of the situations, maybe not the details, but some of the situations where this has really hung me out to dry. Okay. So it is important to acknowledge a couple of different things. The first thing is that when we were talking about radical personal responsibility, we are not talking about shame. We are not talking about blame, and we are not talking about fault. Okay, so this is about being in a place of understanding, of perception, and being able to understand what it is that we're doing. It is not about beating yourself over the head or pointing at other people and saying it's all your fault. It's not about any of that. Okay, so it's not about those things. And especially in childhood where we have experienced abuse, it's important for us to understand that, number one, it's not your fault. And number two, those experiences can really skew our perceptions of ourselves and of the world in general, everything. They can really affect how we perceive everything. So very often when you find yourself stuck in this sort of victim mindset, it is a result of things that have happened a long time ago. Okay. So once again, we are not beating ourselves up. We are not pointing our fingers at anyone in this. This is about acknowledgement and perception. Okay. Not about the emotional stuff. If you need help with the emotional stuff, there are lots of people out there that can help you. This is one of my specialties. So are you ready? Yes. So the first time that I can remember this whole idea coming onto my radar was years ago. 22 years ago, I think, when I first started my bookkeeping business. And I was in this program. There was a small business center place, and there were people there. They called them the advisors, right? There were people there who were meant to help us put together a business plan, meant to help us sort of figure out how to get started, what we needed to do in order to become a money making business. Okay. So I went in one day and I was having a conversation with somebody, and you get friendly with the people that you're in these classes with. You, well, maybe not everybody does. I do. So I get friendly with people. I, get to know them. I get to really want to be their cheerleader and their encouragement. And at one point, there was a conversation with one of these advisors where they had actually sort of advised one of the people that I really enjoyed not to go ahead with their business plan. They did not believe that they would be successful. And I remember getting really kind of upset about this idea. Like, what do you mean you're not going to encourage them? This is a great idea. It's a great idea. And yes, it was a great idea, but great idea needs to be teamed with the work, the investment of time and energy and often money. I remember talking with one of the advisors and hearing from him, I said, like, why would you do that? Why would you discourage this person from doing this thing that they really would like to do? And he said to me, it may seem harsh to you, and this is a paraphrasing, may seem harsh to you, but wouldn't it be worse for me to advise them to invest their time, their energy, their money into something that is very likely not going to become a money generating business? Wouldn't that be worse, Jackie? And I left and I thought about that and I was like, wow, that's an interesting perspective. Because before that, you see, my mindset was that people were against you, that people were trying to stop you, victim mindset. Okay. People were always doing things that were causing havoc in my life. It was all out there. It was all out there. It belonged to other people. I'm not saying that there isn't bad behavior. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there aren't people that, behave badly and cause trouble for other people. I'm not saying that for a second, but there is a responsibility component to this. So again, we are not talking about shame, blame, or fault. We are talking about empowerment. Now, think about that and feel that energy in your body. When we are functioning in this radical personal responsibility, we recognize that we are the ones making our own choices. We acknowledge our part in creating our circumstances. We understand that we are responsible for the decisions that we make, and we own our part. By doing those things, we empower ourselves. We get to a point where we just don't tolerate being treated poorly. We just don't tolerate it. We walk away. We walk away because we understand our value at this point. We're empowered. We understand who we are and what we bring to the table, right? We're more discerning about who we allow to come into our lives. And only those people that we know are going to be supportive and helpful to us becoming our best version of ourselves. Only those people are allowed to get very close. You may have to, like, I'm not in a position where I don't understand that sometimes, there's a boss or a coworker or a family member or a whatever that maybe you can't completely cut out of your life, but how you be with them will change when you start to do these things. Okay. You no longer become a magnet for other people's crap. You no longer are a magnet for other people's crap when you are coming from this empowered place where you understand who you are and what you bring to the table. So there's really quickly before we have to head to our break, there is a thing that this is a real thing. Okay. I was in counseling years ago and the lady said to me, I really want you to buy this book. I think it's called The Victim Triangle. I think that's the name of the book. If you search that, you'll find it. So there are obviously 3 points to the triangle, right? So one is victim, and that's where we're functioning from. Poor me. My life is so hard. Everybody hates me, whatever. Oh, there's always some problem in my whatever. So feel the energy of those statements. Okay. Feel that energy. Poor me is victim. Persecutor. Persecutor is the person who creates the victim. Okay. The persecutor is the one it's all your fault. And this can result in all kinds of craziness. And some of it can be really toxic and not good. So persecutor is it's all your fault. And they are the ones who attack the victim. The third point in this triangle, the third point is rescuer or hero. And when somebody is acting as rescuer or hero, they are very often disempowering the victim because they are solving the problem. I will fix this for you. I will fix this for you. Okay. So we are disempowering the person by not trusting them to do what is right for them, by not encouraging them to make the choices and make the decisions that will honor them. We are disempowering them. So this is a real thing. Look up victim triangle on Google. You'll find it. Excuse me. And now I'm going to take us to our first break. So you're with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about radical personal responsibility. So stick with us for a minute. We will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert. Today we are talking about radical personal responsibility and how it will empower you to make the changes that you would like to make in your life. So there's this, we need to drop the victim mindset. The first step, we've got to drop the victim mindset. And when we come back in our next segment, I'm going to actually walk you through some questions that can actually really help you to get down to that root. So let's just get real. It is not easy to look in the mirror, and acknowledge that you are responsible for the circumstances in your life that you have created. It's not an easy thing. But what I want you to understand is that it is sometimes that freeing piece. It's that freeing piece that allows us to make changes, okay? When we are functioning from at the mercy of other people, then we are not making choices. We are not doing the things or seeking the whatever it is. We're not doing the things that will help us to move forward. What we are actually doing is we are getting out of the driver's seat of our own lives and allowing them to sit down, okay? And when you are in that position, they're going to take you wherever they want to take you. You're going to go along like you're going along for the ride, which might be fun sometimes, but let's be honest, if you want a different sort of life, then you need to take a different path. And in order to do that, you have to be the person who's driving. You have to be the person who's driving. It's absolutely essential for us to do this breaking of this dynamic. So I'm gonna share with you where I believe this really became a thing that I relied on for a very long time. So we've talked about this on the show many times. I became a mom when I was 17. And what happened at that point was I bought into these ideas that I had no idea what I was doing. I bought into these ideas that I could not do this without guidance. And don't get me wrong, guidance is helpful. Guidance is helpful when we ask for it and when we need it. Okay. There is a way to deliver guidance that does not take the other person out at the knees. It actually empowers them and helps them to build their own resilience, build their own experience, build their own strength. So where I bought into this idea was around this, I didn't know how to mother. Well, so here's the thing. I had been babysitting small kids since I was, I think, 9 years old. They used to actually come to my house because my grandmother was there and there were other adults, my mom, my sisters, whatever. There were other people there that could help supervise me as I babysat these kids. Okay. So they would come to the house. Now, I think at that time we were allowed to go and be at their home when we were 11 or something. But this started when I was about 9 years old. So I've been caring for children for a good portion of my life, obviously. By the time I hit 17, I don't know what I thought. I don't know what I thought because I knew how to take care of a baby. I knew how to take care of a child. I knew how to play. I knew how to feed. I knew how to change diapers. I knew how to do all of the basic things. And I didn't trust myself. So here is one of the keys, one of the big keys. I did not trust myself. I bought into this idea that I make bad choices. I make bad choices. Therefore, I can't trust my own judgment. Are you seeing subliminal soundtrack? I make bad choices. Therefore, I can't trust my own judgment. Those were huge pieces of this. So what I did was I allowed all of the adult people in my world to tell me what I needed to do. And sometimes that's really helpful. I mean, to have somebody explain to you how to cook a certain type of meal, wonderful. To have somebody who explains to you how to budget your money, wonderful. Where it becomes a problem is, again, when we decide that somebody else needs to rescue us, we don't know what we're doing. Someone else needs to tell us what to do. Okay. So I made decisions, many choices in my life were based on the ideas that other people had, the opinions of other people. Okay. I wasn't choosing because I sat down with my options and went, okay, out of these options, this is the one that feels right for me. I wasn't doing that. I was running to family members and saying, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So I ended up making those choices based on the guidance and advice and opinions of other people. And then getting kind of pissy when things didn't work out. Well, you told me to do that. It didn't work out. That's your fault. Are you seeing the victim triangle here? It's your fault that this thing didn't work out because you're the one who made me. There you go. It's perfect language. You're the person who made me make that decision. And now it hasn't worked out. I have to live with consequences. It's all your fault. Okay. Are you following me? Victim triangle. So there was this dependence that was formed because of that. I did not, for a long time, get to a point where I went, what am I doing? Why am I giving my power away to other people? Why am I giving my power away to other people who are advising me to make decisions that I'm not happy with? We teach people how to treat us. We teach people how to treat us. So as long as I was going to continue to act like a child who needed guidance, what was going to happen. They were going to keep on coming in. They were going to don that cape and tights and swoop in to rescue me. And as long as that was happening, I was not learning to stand on my own 2 feet. I was not learning to trust my judgment. I was not learning to make moves that were best for me and for my child. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a really ugly dynamic to get stuck in. And I got stuck in it for a very, very, very long time. So there was another situation. Well, there are a few situations in my life. And this piece of radical personal responsibility can actually free you. Okay. Because when I got to a point where I started to say, okay, forget it. I'm not going to ask you. I'm going to do what I think is right. I will face the consequences. I will live with this decision. So I will be the person who makes this decision. It's not that I won't necessarily consider someone else's thoughts or opinion, because sometimes that's helpful, but I'm going to be the one who ultimately decides what is the right move for me. So what happened was there are a few situations, childhood and early years, where things had not gone right, where there had been people who had treated me very poorly, very, very badly. And what happened was I was going through this massive healing and I couldn't get through it. I couldn't get to the other side. It went on for months. It dragged and dragged and dragged for months. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I knew enough to understand that I needed to figure out what I was doing to keep this in my space, or what I was creating for myself by holding on to that thing. And I went out to a friend's place. She's got horses. She's not, I don't know, an hour from here or so. She's got horses. And I spent some time with her one day and with the horses. And what we ended up arriving at was that, I was the one who had to decide what was right for me. And that was so poignant and brilliant, because I came home that day and I was still rolling around. There were still tears, there was still pain, there was still anger, there was still all kinds of emotion. And so I sat down and I really got clear with myself. And I said, okay, what is this? What is this that's got me stuck? And the moment that I asked that question, I started to understand that there was a dynamic that I had played into. I hadn't been responsible for what had happened. I wasn't at fault. I wasn't to blame. I could have chosen to do things differently in those circumstances. And in that moment of recognition, I understood my responsibility. Okay. And really, I'm talking about my experience. If you're being triggered, I would really encourage you to reach out and talk to me, because this is something that it's not easy. And this can be something that brings up some really tough emotions. But the moment that I had that understanding that by not choosing to act, by not choosing to do something, I had allowed for the situation to continue. I had allowed it to continue because I chose not to act. Okay. So that's where we're getting into, what do we have to do? How do we break this dynamic? And the moment that I broke that dynamic, the tears came, but the tears came of freedom and relief. It was relief because I understood that if I were partly responsible, then I could make different choices. Okay. So if I'm responsible for the choices that I'm making, I can change the choices that I'm making in order to go in a different direction, in order to stand up for myself, in order to create relationships that are strong and healthy and vibrant. I can start to make different choices. And that's where your power comes from. All right. So we have to go to our next break. So you are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm going to really encourage you to grab yourself a pen and paper, because next segment, we are going to go into the 5 questions that you need to ask yourself in order to start breaking free of this victim mindset dynamic. So again, Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Stick with us for just a moment. We will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I'm your host, Jackie Mott. Today we are talking about radical personal responsibility, breaking the dynamic of victim mindset so that you can be empowered to create the life that you choose. So really quickly, I'm going to give you one more second to go grab that pen and paper if you're in a position to do so. Grab your pen and paper because we're about to get into these questions. And once again, if you are not in a position to make those notes right now, you can find us always on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Just go there and search either Jackie Mott or Time to Rise and Thrive, and you will find all of the recordings of our prior shows. And I'm just going to say there's some stuff on there. I actually noticed the other day, one of them had 500 views on the website. So there's some good stuff on there, just saying. And these things that we talk about, this mindset stuff, is very often a process. It takes this and this and this, not always the same combination for every person, but there are different things that we need to address. And that's what we do here on Time to Rise and Thrive. So InspiredChoicesNetwork.com, you can always go there and find us. You can find me at JackieMott.com. Email is Jackie@JackieMott.com. I know it's really confusing, right? Or on Facebook at Jackie Mott Mindset and Empowerment Expert. So you can find us all over the place. Please feel free to go back and watch whatever shows you might like to watch, whatever might seem funny, whatever might seem light for you, and even those things that maybe are a little bit difficult to talk about. So here are your questions. Number one, what about this situation am I responsible for? What about this situation am I responsible for? Now, again, it is very important for us to go into these questions without the shame, the blame, or the fault, without any of that. This is, sort of a fact-finding mission and about being in your own power, in your own place of understanding what you are doing that may be contributing to some of these unhealthy dynamics. So It will simply allow you to understand what happened and what part you played in that. And now again, we just talked about some of those things that have happened for me. And in those circumstances, it was very important for me to recognize what I was doing. It may simply be that I allowed something to take place that maybe I should have put a stop to. It could be that I contributed to the drama. It could be that I made a decision that caused someone else to be harmed or hurt or whatever the case may be. So what is your responsibility in this situation? And I would encourage you to pick one situation at a time, because to try and do more than that could result in overwhelm, which is not really very helpful. Okay. Second question, what have I gained? Ooh. So when I'm really honest, and I'm telling you, I don't talk about this stuff most of the time. When I'm really honest, I benefited from that victim mindset. I benefited because I didn't have to take responsibility. I could look to other people and say, it's all your fault and your fault and your fault and your fault. And that meant that I had a free pass. Do you see what I'm saying? So I could create one hell of a mess in my own life and then sit back and go, oh no, poor me. I could do that. Or I could get busy doing what we're talking about right now. So again, no shame, no blame, no fault. What have I gained? Okay. It could be a relationship that maybe you didn't want to let go of that relationship. So you allowed things to happen that weren't healthy for you in order to hold on to that relationship. Could be a workplace. We hear about this all the time. People who stay in jobs for whatever the reasons, the money, the schedule, the whatever, they stay there for too long. And in the end, it's a terrible place for them to be, right? It could be anything. So don't necessarily be looking at, it has to be my marriage or my relationship with my parents, or it could be anything. Okay. Wherever it fits for you, that's where you want to put this. The third question, what has it cost me? What has it cost me? So by being in that space of it's all your fault and I don't have to make decisions for myself and I can just roll around, how many years do you think I wasted? How many years of my life did I waste in this space where I felt like I could never figure out how to do things right? Where I could never, no matter how hard I tried, I could never, ever hit the mark. When we are in that space of not accepting our responsibility in those situations, it's easier. It's easier in some ways to be the massive failure or the black sheep of the family. It's easier to be that than to take the steps required to move out of that space. There was a class that I used to go to these classes with this couple, beautiful couple. And one of the ladies, she would say something to the effect of, she was talking about turds. She was talking about turds and getting comfortable to be in this pile rather than taking the steps to get out of it. Sometimes where we're comfortable, we stay, right? If I know that I'm the black sheep, if I know that no one expects anything of me because I'm just a massive failure, if I know that space, what's it going to cost me to go over there where I could be living in my potential, where I could be living toward my dreams, where I could be living in a completely different way? As long as I'm a massive failure and I can sit here and be comfortable in it, no one's expecting anything, and I can just keep on, phoning it in. I can keep on phoning it in. I don't have to actually show up and do life. It's a thing. Okay. So sometimes it's easier to stay in that comfort zone than it is to step out and do something different. And I will tell you that as I went through these healings and these transformations, I lost people. And in hindsight, maybe those people really shouldn't have been part of my life anyway, because they weren't the people who had my best interests at heart. They weren't the people who would encourage and support and kick my ass when I needed it. Okay. They weren't those people. And therefore, they were not going to support me in moving in a different direction. They were very comfortable with me in that space, in that pile of muck. They were very comfortable there because they gained something from it. And one of the things I've said repeatedly over the last few weeks is if you allow yourself to become someone's doormat, don't be surprised when they wipe their feet on you. It's a thing, man. If you're going to be running around being a victim all the time, then you're going to continue to get that kind of stuff. You get to choose. You get to choose. So, what has it cost me is the last question. Our fourth question, what can I do differently now with this new understanding? So one of the things that, and I hesitate to bring up this particular situation, but in my former marriage, one of the things that I walked away from, I mean, there was a whole lot of stuff that I had to face about me and what I had allowed and what I contributed to and all of that kind of stuff. That was one of the most difficult places where this showed up. Okay. So in that relationship, when I came out of it, as I worked through my healing, as I, worked at becoming who I wanted to be rather than the woman that I had been for so many years, what I started to understand was I didn't have to have a relationship in my life to make me whole. I did not have to have a partner in order to feel like a woman. I did not have to, do you see what I'm saying? Those are the ideas that are on that subliminal soundtrack. And, truthfully, that's how we were raised. Women of my generation, that was one of the sort of throwback things. And it's probably still happening. But in order to be, a worthwhile woman, you needed to be wanted by somebody who gives a shit, who wants you. Truly, who gives a shit, who wants you. So I allowed myself the time and the space to do this healing because I did not want to bring in another partner that would be the same dynamics over and over and over again. If I wasn't happy there, what did I need to do to change? And a lot of that revolved around me. I had to change my mindsets. I had to heal some stuff that I had carried around for a long time. And I had to require more. I would rather be alone than in a relationship with somebody that is not a good fit for me, because that is far more painful than for me to be on my own and doing my own thing and enjoying life. Do you see what I'm saying? So sometimes this is the result. Sometimes those people go away and we need to let them go away. Wish them well. I hope you have a wonderful life and thank you for what you've contributed to mine. Now I'm going to go over here and you go over there and great. Have at her. Have a wonderful life. Do you see what I'm saying? Let them go. Let them go. The last question. So our fifth question, is there something I need to do? Now, this is one of those things where like you hear people talking about making amends and different things like that. And sometimes this is the thing that we need to do. We need to have a difficult conversation with a family member or a friend or whatever the case may be. We need to own our responsibility. We need to say, I did this and I'm sorry because I know it impacted you. Is there something I need to do? With my son, this was one of the big healings that happened with him, because as I was working through this stuff, I came to a place where I understood that I had allowed things to happen in our life that maybe hadn't been very good for him. That was hard for me because I love him. And I had determined right from the beginning that I was going to be the very best mother I could be. And I could see those places where I'd let him down. So I went and I said to him, I'm working through this stuff and I just realized this and this and this, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry I let you down. I'm sorry that I allowed this. I'm sorry that you were harmed or hurt in the process. I'm sorry. And do you have any idea what that created between us? There was this healing that happened in our relationship. There was an understanding that he was able to come to. There was forgiveness. I'm sure there were tears. So again, what do I need to do? Or do I need to do anything? Because if it's somebody that you don't want in your life, maybe let that go. Don't you deal with it on your own. Talk it out with your friends, write about it, journal about it, do what you need to do to let it go. Don't go back to them and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," unless you want to open the door to that relationship again. Okay? So if it's something that you already know is not healthy, don't open the door again. Don't open the door. Let them go. Have a nice life and get on with your own. Okay? Wish them well. Always do your best to wish people well when they exit your life, if that's at all possible. So, the last thing I'm going to say, we've got to go to our last break and we've got to be really quick here. If you need some help, if you need some support in this area, this is what I do. This is hard won knowledge. I don't even know if there's a course out there that outlines this, but if you're someone who needs help with this, I'm going to offer go to www.bookacallwithjackie.com. I am going to offer 5 people, the first 5 people who take action. If you are someone who is ready to do the work, you're tired of the nonsense, you're tired of feeling stuck and not knowing what to do, and you want to move in a better, happier direction for yourself, go to www.bookacallwithjackie.com and sign up for the Unstoppable You session. The first 5 people will receive that call free of charge, my gift to you for taking action today. All right. So, first 5 people, go book your session now. These are not going to last for very long. All right. So, now we're going to head to our last break of this show. You are with me on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert. Stick with us for just a moment. We will be right back.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? This question came to Jackie Mott when she was trying to find peace and purpose in the wake of tragedy. She began to understand that a lot of her pain and choices had been the result of how she perceived herself and her place in the world. And she set about creating a new subliminal soundtrack that would support her in creating a life of abundance, joy, and fulfillment. To learn more about how she did that and how you can do the same, join Jackie on her radio show, Time to Rise and Thrive, every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Our subliminal soundtrack plays in the back of our minds 24/7. It's filled with everything we've ever learned about money, relationships, body, and sexuality, about every single aspect of our lives. If you don't have what you desire, the Subliminal Soundtrack Reset program may be the very key to changing it all. In this 8-week program, designed by Jackie Mott, you'll learn to replace messages that stop your desires with new ones that not only support you in creating what you truly desire, but expand your life to higher levels of joy and pleasure. Go to phoenixcoach.ca today to sign up and begin creating your life on purpose.
This is the Time to Rise and Thrive show with mindset coach and facilitator of change, Jackie Mott. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. For more information, visit phoenixcoach.ca, where you can follow Phoenix Coaching online. Now, back to the program.
Hello and welcome back to Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert. Today we are talking about radical personal responsibility, dropping the victim mindset, recognizing our own habits, our dynamics, the things that are keeping us stuck, and how to shift those around. So I'm going to just repeat again, if you were not able to make notes, or if there's something in the show that you were just like, oh my gosh, I need to hear that again, go find us on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can find us also. She's got a Facebook page, Inspired Choices Network. There's a YouTube page. We're on, oh my gosh, we're on Spotify. We're on Spreaker. We're on Binge TV Network. We are all over the place. So just go and find us. You can find the shows, watch them as many times as you like. Just watch them as many times as you like. Yes. All right. So here's what we're going to do to summarize the show. Oh, Christine says, iHeartRadio, Audible, 250 platforms she's got us on. We're everywhere. Oh my goodness, we're everywhere. Okay. So we're going to summarize now. When we are functioning from a place of radical personal responsibility for our own choices, what we are actually doing is empowering ourselves to change our mind. And when you change your mind, you make different choices. You make different choices. You get more discerning about the people that you bring into your world, about the situations you choose for yourself, about all kinds of different stuff. You get more discerning. And as you get more discerning, you are more likely to bring in those things that will help you to reach that fulfilled, happy, just joyful life. You will never get there. If you are living in a victim mindset, you will never, ever get to that place that you dream about, that life that you dream about, until you address your own responsibility. Okay. It is absolutely essential for us to talk about this stuff and to come to a place where we understand. Forgive yourself. If you allowed something to take place, if you allowed something in your life that caused you harm, forgive yourself for doing that. In order to do that, we must acknowledge it first. Okay. We must acknowledge that we were the ones who were driving the bus when that happened. So again, if you are serious about making these changes, if you are serious about addressing those issues and coming to a place where you can start to create from a different energy, a different space, first 5 people to go to www.bookacallwithjackie.com will get a complimentary Unstoppable You session where we will talk about what's going on and what we can do to address it. Okay. So now we are right down to the wire. Of course, we're right down to the wire. I always talk right to the last second, don't I? Yes. So the quote that I would like to leave you with this week: victim mindset is the number one reason people feel disempowered and fail to make healthy choices for themselves. The dynamics it creates can be difficult to break through, but it's absolutely essential in order to create a healthier and happier life. If you're living with a victim mindset right now, you are stronger, more capable, more potent, and more magical than you even realize. It's your choice. Continue to live as though you have no control over your life and your circumstances, or embrace your inner powerhouse, take responsibility for your choices, and start creating the life you truly desire and deserve. What do you choose? Yes. All right. So thank you so much for being with us on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. I am so excited to be here every Friday. This is actually my favorite time of the week, believe it or not. So we'll be back next Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Next week's show is called Don't Give Up. You've got this. Don't give up. You've got this. We'll be talking about digging deep and finding the strength to keep going, especially when you're so weary, you'd just like to quit. Have you ever been there? You know, in that space where everything is so, you've been trying so hard. Bookacallwithjackie.com. I'm just saying, first 5 people get a free session with me. All right. So don't give up. You've got this. You have everything within you that you need at any given moment in time to face any challenge that you are facing. Again, you are stronger, more capable, more potent, more magical than you even know. So what could happen if we start to tap into that? What could start to happen in your life if you could start to shift from this victim mindset into this empowered place where you are making the choices that are good for you, where you're making choices that actually push you in the direction of the thing that you would like to achieve? What could happen? Could be fun. I'm just saying, it could be fun. So thank you once again for joining us on Time to Rise and Thrive on Inspired Choices Network. Again, I am Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert. You can find me on the inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can find me at jackiemott.com. You can find me on Facebook, Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert. See you next week.
Thank you for joining us for Time to Rise and Thrive radio show. Jackie Mott will return next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, and 10 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Have a fantastic week, and remember, It's your time to rise and thrive.